Let's chat a little about complainers. Generally, a complainer is a person who doesn't take responsibility for their own action. A complainer is someone who would always talk about why they failed instead of how to succeed. Now, there's one simple reason why it's never ever okay to complain, and that is there's always someone that has it worse than you do. Let me give that a little context. So when I think about some of the things in my life that I'd want to complain about, some of the really hard things, and then I give them any sort of real world context, they aren't that consequential. Let me get really specific. When I was 16 years old and I had to drop out of high school to get a terrible job to support my new baby, that was pretty rough. You know, that is a big enough excuse for me to justify any actions I take in my life. I know, but I couldn't do this because. To embrace that as an excuse to complain. But the truth is that's not so bad. Dropping out of high school, like really not having much of a place to live, having no money, having a baby, being on welfare, like all those things really suck. But in the grand scheme of humanity, it's not that bad. Bear with me. I turn on my computer, I go to a news site, and the first story I read is about migrants from Myanmar that are stuck on a boat, stranded, because the Thai government won't let them into port. These are people just like you and me, and they're literally starving to death, and this is right now. I don't mean to be so extreme, but these are the things that I remind myself of anytime I want to complain or bitch about something in my life. You realize that there are people just like you and me who at this very moment are truly facing things we're lucky enough to go our entire lives without ever having to experience. Okay, let me tell one more story to back this up. One more story where like my feelings around complaining and life in general were really set straight. 3 years ago I did this project, led like a very small relief mission to the Philippines after they had been devastated by Typhoon Haiyan. This is some of the video here. That was somebody's home. Yeah. People didn't have water, people didn't have food. You know, these people had nothing. Their livelihoods, their life, their existence had totally been stripped away from them. And what struck me the most about the entire experience, all of my time there, was not once did anyone complain. But they had lost everything, and they didn't complain. And they all focused on one thing. They focused on change, not complaining. And because of that, I do take it personally when people complain, because the truth is, most of the time, people who complain have nothing to complain about. Who cares if I went to a meeting that doesn't start till tomorrow, and who cares if some guy locked up my bike brake cable? It really doesn't matter. Do you think it's better to plan out your future all the way through, or just play it by ear and see what happens? I apologize if I've said this in the vlog before, I can't remember. And this also isn't my original idea, someone else told this to me, but it's great. It was a great piece of advice that I'm happy to share. I believe in something called the Tarzan method. And what that means is, you are Tarzan, me Tarzan, starting on this side of the jungle. Your goals, your dreams, your aspirations, they're the other side of the jungle. And there's no straight line through the jungle. You know what, let me do an animation for you here. The Tarzan method. What that means is, you're Tarzan, you're here, and you want to get to the other side of the jungle here. Ideally there's this straight line, but what you find in life, what I've found in life, this is non-existent. This straight line here is a unicorn. It doesn't exist. Instead, you reach and you grab onto whatever vine you can grab onto and you swing. And that vine might carry you in this direction, which doesn't feel like the right direction to your goal. But it does get you a little bit closer. And then you grab onto another vine. It swings you all the way over here, a little bit closer. And then you swing in this direction, and then this direction, and 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 eventually you make it to where you want to be. But the beauty of the Tarzan method, the kind of the magic of being open-minded in your pursuit, is that like these unknowns, like where it might take you that you didn't imagine, that's usually where you find something that is actually what your goals are. I don't believe that there is a straight line between where you are and where you want to be in life ever. Not with family, not with romantic interests, and especially not with your career. So an open-mindedness, even if it looks like this, will yield results and outcomes that otherwise would have been unforeseeable. Nicole asks, how do you get yourself out of a rut? Work. Work is the answer to a lot of problems. It cures depression, heartbreak, all those things. You just, when you're in a bad place, I bury myself with work. The progress and the physical activity and the brain distraction, it like breaks me out of anything. I like this question. Bosco wants to know, divide into percentage these factors to reach success. Natural talent, luck, and determination. Natural talent is highly overrated. It's determination, 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 and then like luck and all that other education and all that. It's like, it's not even in the same pie chart. Carlos asks, what makes you proud of yourself? Okay, that's a weird way to phrase it, but how I have confidence in who I am and the decisions I make is that I have this moral compass in life, and it is like, it is a summation or an amalgam of everything that I believe in, and everything that I think is right and fair and just. And every decision that I make, personal, private, business, every decision that I make is made through the looking glass, through the perspective of my moral compass, of what I believe is right and what I believe is wrong. And if it's wrong, I don't make that decision. I only make decisions that I believe in. In the aggregate of that, you do that over enough time, and it gives you a sense of pride. It gives you a sense of confidence in what you've done in life. Eli wants to know, how has vlogging helped you as a filmmaker? Anyone that works in any creative field knows that when there's no impetus to create, it's very hard to make something. Meaning like without a deadline, it's hard to actually finish. Like that awesome platitude that I love to preach, without a goal, you can't score. So how vlogging has helped me as a filmmaker, it's forced me to make a new movie every day. And by doing that, my skills have improved, my editing has improved, my confidence in my editing has improved. Everything's been moved forward because of this vlog, because of this like self-imposed daily deadline. Carlos, what's the meaning of life? Carlos, existentialism is a very dangerous thing. Ignore it, get back to work. That was the first step in a very long process. I can't underscore enough that it's never any one thing that takes you where you want to be. What's it like to be your own boss? You know, the last time I had a boss, I was 21 years old. So I've worked for myself almost my entire adult life. I don't know that I could function in any other environment. I don't do well when I have someone questioning my judgment, and I don't do well when I have to trust the judgment of someone else simply because they're my superior. I don't do well in that environment. You know, I just rewatched this amazing Steve Jobs quote from like 1996.
So the thing I would say is, when you grow up, you tend to get told that the world is the way it is, and your life is just to live your life inside the world, try not to bash into the walls too much, try to have a nice family life, have fun, save a little money. But life, that's a very limited life. Life can be much broader once you discover one simple fact, and that is everything around you that you call life was made up by people that were no smarter than you. And you can change it. You can influence it. You can build your own things that other people can use. And the minute that you understand that you can poke life and actually something will, if you push in, something will pop out the other side, that you can change it, you can mold it. That's maybe the most important thing, is to shake off this erroneous notion that life is there and you're just going to live in it, versus embrace it, change it, improve it, make your mark upon it. I think that's very important. And however you learn that, once you learn it, you'll want to change life and make it better, because it's kind of messed up in a lot of ways. Once you learn that, you'll never be the same again.
All right, Casey, what is your favorite quote?
Okay, it's in the foreword to a book called Herzog on Herzog. And the quote is something like, don't quote me on this, it's something like, never have a plan B. People with a plan B will invariably fall back on it. That's why they have it in the first place. It's a good one, right?
It's a good quote. Do you get bored?
No. And the reason why I don't get bored is because there's always a list, whether it's like in my head or literally on paper, I'm sure you're the same way, of things that need to be done. So anytime there's like free time that would be occupied by boredom, you just have, there's stuff to do, there's work to do. Do you ever get bored?
I do, but it's my own fault. If I'm bored, I gotta change it up.
Yeah,
That's
change
when
it
I
up.
know that it's time to change.
What do you enjoy most about work? For me, work is about being productive. It's about doing something. That sense of accomplishment or that sense of productivity is what I enjoy most about work. And to me, like, work and life are one and the same. So all of those values hold true when thinking about life in general. How do you manage being so optimistic about everything? What's the alternative? To be negative or cynical? There's more than enough negativity in this world. And negativity doesn't feel good. Negativity is just easy. So if you put in the time to work hard at being positive and being optimistic, it's a much better life. But it does take more work. Negative people are typically lazy people.